All right, gentlemen, this is the late night reboot movie mashup, which means nothing to you viewers because it is not almost 10 o'clock where you are. But we are filming this late at night for your enjoyment, but also ours. At Greer, we're on Swallow, Philly
Yes.
Business. Uh, I'm shattering the curtain here, peeling it back. Yeah, we do like 3 or 4 of these in a row because they're fun. But also, I think that gets us warmed up. I am ready now, after 2 great episodes, to deliver the hat trick. Are you guys ready?
Absolutely. And I just want to point out that you can tell that Billy has a kid now because he thinks 10 p.m. is late.
Guys, 10 p.m. is like 10
Yeah,
p.m. is the new 4 a.m.
yeah. That's awesome.
I also, just so everyone knows at home, I can't even text either of these gentlemen until like noon because
Correct.
they actually, Ron is like 3 p.m. Ed, I have no idea. Sometimes I'll get a text from him at like 6:45 in the morning, and sometimes I'll try calling him and it's like 5:30 in the evening. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I just woke up." Like I have no idea.
Dude, I think that I'm a werewolf. Let's move on.
All right. So if you're new to the show, whatever time it is that you're watching this, here's how it works. We have a list of franchises, we have a list of genres. We randomly select one from each list, and then we have 30 minutes to create either a really good movie, a really weird movie, or a bad movie. But we got to come up with something in 30 minutes. Good, bad, ugly. It's got to be something. Gentlemen, let's get into it. The franchise that we are going to be doing right now is The Hunger Games. We are going to be taking on The Hunger Games. In what genre? I don't know. What's it going to be? A western, a old west western of The Hunger Games. This should be interesting. 30 minutes are on the clock starting
Before you
right now.
before you do that,
Too
I think
late.
we should throw a wild card in. I just feel like we
Why
should
do you
have a
think
wild card on this.
Ron wants a wild card? Ron, are you sure you want this?
I think so, man. I think a Western for Hunger Games, which is literally a survival thing, I think it's too close together.
Ron. We had a layup, but now it's too late. We are gonna have
Now
to
it's
get
gotta
a
be
chaos card.
Now it's got to
And
be a
Ron,
finger roll.
oh Ron, you really did it this time. It's The Hunger Games as a Western, and there is absolutely no dialogue in the entire movie. This is a completely dialogueless Hunger Games movie as a Western. 30 minutes starting right now. Ron,
This is
we
awesome.
had this. We had this in the bag.
Well, look, we could do this real easy. The dialogue could the dialogue just wait? I guess that's technically cheating. If you put subtitles, does that count as dialogue as cheating?
No dialogue,
Okay.
nothing.
Oh, this is gonna be
This
good.
is
Thanks,
purely
Ron.
going to, yeah, this is going to be a lot of grunts, a lot of forlorn
Looks,
looks.
views right on people's faces, right? I
Okay.
love this. So let's do it. So
I don't even
it's a
really
Western.
quite
It's
know
Hungry
where to
Games.
start.
So this is we just have to show a dystopian Western.
Yeah, that was hard enough as it was, Ron.
That's not that hard. You just like
Look,
it's people are
I
are
think
are are being like are obviously enslaved. We just show like super rich because it's in the westerns. It's all the people with the really nice clothes and the hats are cleaner, right? They've got the bowling hats instead of instead of the instead of the cowboy hats. They've got high collars instead of the vests and the tassels and whatever else like looks dirty, you know what I mean? Like those type of things. Oh, actually, I think they do have tassels, but they have like fancier Western clothing to show that they're the people in charge. And then they're just literally taking people's kids and like, shoving them to go out at high noon. And that's the beginning. We showed the beginning of the
But
the
why
whole thing
isn't
getting set
anyone
up.
saying anything? Like, I almost feel like you almost have to address why there's no dialogue in this. Like,
Okay.
I'm wondering if you kind of do it like I'm thinking now in terms of like Gladiator, where it's just like, okay, for some reason these enslaved people have to fight each other. What if they all have like stitches across their neck, and like the first thing that
Ooh.
happened when they were taken was that they're like, this is makes no fucking sense, but like their their ability to speak was taken away, or their tongues were cut out, but I don't know how you'd show that. It's visually easier to just show like stitches across everyone's neck that's in the Hunger Games.
I
Oh
think
man.
I think you might have hit on something there, because now I think I can actually get into the idea. Because the thing is, okay, there's this society, and where there's this is a colony of some sort where they store the people who have been disabled willfully by some regime in this way, by cutting out their larynxes, cutting out their ability to speak, because I guess they were speaking truth to power and they got busted, and they're all consigned to this fate. So that's where we are. That's the equivalent of the Wild West town, this colony for the people that they've silenced in this way. And so I guess to like allocate the resources for that prison colony or whatever, more or less, they got to do Hunger Games fighting with each other to like fight over those few resources, I guess. Does that track?
It's pretty creepy too. Like,
Yeah.
you think about the Hunger Games, like the movies that exist now. It's like when the buzzer goes off, they all start running, and there's panting and yelling and whatnot. But if
None of
there's
that
no
happens.
sound at all, I feel like that the tension is so much higher if
Ooh,
there's
ooh.
Mhm.
And what I see at the beginning is because you know how they have to like be displayed as champions. Like that's one of the big things that happens in the Hunger Games is look at all the champions, and they're made to
Mhm.
go to a dance, and there's all this music, but nobody can talk to each other. And so it's like all the music is going, and like there's communication happening, but nobody speaking to each other at the dance just becomes one of the creepiest things ever. And of course, you're also dancing with people that you are going to have to kill.
That's I guess that's pretty hardcore. And I was thinking about the champions though. There's got to be something to being a champion, and I don't want to start breaking rules, but it's at the end of the movie. Something. One word is a triumph in this movie that we've set up. One word said at the end, one thing regained or whatever. One, I'm a champion. I broke through and I killed the queen, and I get to whatever. Because I want our Hunger Games to be over, dude. Honestly, I don't want three of these. It stretches it too much. You're basically a slave. You're put up for all this crap. You're put to gladiate, and after you gladiate, you get close enough to the emperor, and you kill them. And
Yeah,
now you get to be the emperor by some ancient stupid right or something, and the world is balanced. The end.
agreed.
Or rather, you set up a system that doesn't do that. You set up. They want you to be the emperor. You say no. Democracy. The end. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It doesn't need to drag on for a bunch of books and books and books. So yeah, I want at the end of this, like, and like I said, it doesn't have to be a word, but like maybe somebody about to say something with renewed speech, and we cut it off before they say it.
Avengers.
You know what I'm saying? Like they'd be like
Picks up a hammer.
just after this grand adventure, and then they're repaired in this way or whatever at the end, and they're just so joyous that they're about to, and then we just cut it off because there's no
I almost
sunshine.
wonder, okay, so it's like you start the movie, and it's this cowboy, and he's coming into like a ghost town, and he's clearly like he's just looking for water. Maybe we look back and his horse just collapses and dies,
Mhm.
and he's looking around. There's no one in sight. He tries to go into the bar to find something to drink, and maybe he's clocked, wakes up, and then gets a glimpse in the mirror that this is all stitched up crappily, and then he looks and he's in like a cell, and there's other people that are
All
out
with the same
there,
thing.
all with
Mhm.
the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing with this is like it's very hard. Like you almost have to remember, like this is kind of a new iteration of Hunger Games, or the concept of Hunger Games, where we can't just rely on people knowing why this is happening. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, do we need that? Can it just be like these
How
are
about
just sick fucks, like this is what they do in this town? Like I like the idea of being silenced. I just wonder, like, it's almost impossible to get all that exposition out without saying anything.
Like I said, I mean, if we're gonna make
yeah?
rules, we gotta have. All I'm saying is, if the super rich could talk and they don't, that's interesting to me. Like these people, that's like you can't talk, and I don't deign to talk to you, but I ain't got no stitches across my throat. And when I'm by myself with my peeps, I can say whatever I want. Cause I haven't double crossed the government, you garbage people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. I'm not a
I
member of
I
the underclass.
I can see something too where they take all these people that you're talking about and make them watch an also silent film, and it shows them what they're supposed to do, and that's it. Like it's like literally a 2 minute scene where it just like literally it shows them just doing
I'll take it.
this. Yeah, and then it's like and they shoot each other, and a guy at the end raises his hands, and he gets to eat something. Literally
I
something
think
like
maybe
that.
it's like, yeah, maybe they're like all hurt. Well, I don't know. Did they didn't have like silent films back then in the Western? Unless this is not like the old West and it's just like a weird ghost town that's, like who knows when this takes place type of thing.
I mean,
I
that's
think maybe
fine
maybe
because
it's
it.
like this is what if the West never ended? The West ended because of this urbanization. Well, what if that whole urbanization built a bunch of people on top of each other, like New York and stuff like that, or even San Francisco being basically this big but really densely packed with stuff that never took hold. Like in this world, that never happened because for whatever reasons, people decided to keep things more as disparate towns and flatter, smaller stuff for a while or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
The
think
world
no,
evolved
I think
different.
I think you're right. I think you kind of just leave it like maybe you never, as an audience member, you never quite know what time this is, so in that way it's a little timeless.
And
Yeah,
all the
and the
stuff,
weapons they're given are actual just guns,
Or not
like
even guns. I think you do like
oh
like Joker and Dark Knight. Like you give him a sharp piece of wood and you break it in half, and it's again,
yeah,
like I almost think like it might be in our best interest to kind of try to strip away any sort of indication of when this takes place.
okay, yeah, and
Like
it
when
could just
does the
look like
Hunger
a beat
Games
up.
takes place? we
I
don't
mean,
we don't
it's
know.
no, it's a future time though, as far as I can tell. It seems like it's like apocalyptic future is basically the way they're selling it. So, but yeah,
Well,
Yeah, I
it's
think
not.
I think an anachronistic like the Dark City or whatever. That's kind of a terrible example, but like
Even
I don't
like
know.
Tim Burton's Batman with like the old 20s and
Yeah,
30s and 40s
old
cars, but then like
right.
computers and shit.
Like somebody in our movie could
I mean,
theoretically
look,
ride a horse up to a Model T, let's say. You know what I
Right.
mean?
absolutely,
Yeah.
like the Mandalorian is a fucking western. Like we all know it is. It's just
I'm
also
almost thinking
in
like
space.
when you said a horse up to like a Model T, I'm almost thinking like a Walking Dead type aesthetic.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Or maybe we don't know exactly what happened in this world. Maybe a lot of it is kind of left to our own imagination. But I think then you can, once this guy wakes up in his cell and they herd all these people into a room, maybe it is like on a video screen, or like a projector, like an old school projector on a
Yep.
wall. Maybe it's just like text like, your freedom is gone. This is your punishment. Two will enter. Only one can leave, type of thing.
Or 20 will enter, one can leave.
Whatever it is. Right.
Well, and like and so the character gets to so just so we don't get too deep in the weeds, the character as they progress through the story, how does that happen? Because there must be progress. So what is the progress? Is it they like Katniss? I guess she kept not dying, and they kept putting her in bigger
Right.
and bigger
And getting
matches.
better.
Right, of course. And
Getting
Can
better
we
and better at.
show? Can we show something where it's like, um, again, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'm not even saying I like this beat, but just something to get like maybe there's a flashback or something where it's like he's starting to nod off, and it's like we see him like I don't know, in his daughter's room and she's like falling asleep and he looks over and there's like the medicine in like a jar is like at the very bottom and so he like gets on a horse. We cut to him getting it's so like this the reason he even ended up here was because he was like looking for
I love it.
medicine for his wife or his daughter,
Mhm.
something. I don't
Yeah.
know, just like again, that's all stuff you can do without dialogue and you get it,
Yeah. I
Mhm.
love that idea. It gives him a motivation. We know why he's doing what he's doing, not just because they captured him, but because he's got this option. Like maybe on that screen at the end of it, it's gold or whatever, and he actually came to the town on purpose.
I don't
Well,
think he would come if he knew he was going to get his voice box ripped out.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
yeah, I think it's almost interesting though, like you stumbling onto some weird prison colony because you come from this other direction and you ride your horse over a downed fence and you don't think about it at all. But that was like the perimeter of this giant prison where they keep these mutes or whatever, and they got them so trained that they don't leave their town that they built for them. They don't even venture out this far, and you just rode over their prison wall. You know what I mean? And now you're in
Yeah.
their prison and you get treated like a prisoner. You know what I mean? Like we kind of that's hardcore though, man. Damn.
Oh, it also changes.
Awful luck.
I mean, but then it turns into an escape story. If we do that, if we roll with that,
Well, that's where, Ed, you were talking about like what is this guy's arc? That could be kind of it, is like maybe he tries to escape at one point and is pulled back. So we think that his motivation is to escape, but he realizes escaping is not going to end this. I can't
Mhm.
just like get out. I gotta win this thing so I can get
Mhm.
close enough to just end this completely because no one
Ooh.
deserves to be here.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then he frees everybody that he doesn't kill.
Which is tough. I don't know how you get across that that change in his thinking without saying something, but
Well, I
maybe it
think the
is.
best part about that is we don't know that until the end. So the whole time it looks like he's sort of participating. And then when he takes that last step at the end to end the bad guy, you still don't know if he's going to take over and leave. And then that's when we see him go to each door and open them up and let people out and
I mean,
etc.
that seems satisfying saying it. Like, but if I was in the dark for 2 hours watching somebody be complicit in like war crimes and stuff, and just being sort of a cog of the machine the whole time and not changing and not growing and all this kind of jazz, I'd be pretty mad. I'm not saying that's what you're intoning, but that's what it sounds like. So I'm just trying to
Well,
see
it's
how we
I'm
can like show the
I
audience
almost
at some
wonder,
time
yeah,
before
like
the end what the character wants, so
I
that they can
wonder if
have
there's
something to
like
latch on to.
after he escapes or tries to escape and he gets beaten the hell up and brought back. I wonder if there's like, I'm seeing it as like this rich family, this kind of weird rich family that's kind of overseeing this. What if he like sees their photo like a family portrait or something on the wall, kind of like how like in some like in North Korea you have like photos of Kim Jong-un in your house, like what if like there's a like a portrait or something of them like in their cells, and he like takes a match and like burns their picture so that we as the audience know like, oh, he's out to like get them and like end this.
Mm-hmm.
okay. I like that. That works.
That's visual.
I mean, it's got to be like I don't know any other
Yeah,
way
because
to.
of Ron. I just have to acknowledge the missile grade resentment that I was feeling at the beginning due to the fact of you having to throw the chaos card. Just have to acknowledge that and get it out so that we can like move forward. So, but now I'm interested in working out the problem, trying to get across these motivations. So Billy came up with a nice visual scene there. I'd say we got to show the character's skill wordlessly and show the people's reaction to his skills wordlessly, so that they can put him, so that he can volunteer himself next time for whatever the game is, so he can start, like, so that he can choose to start the damn adventure and be in the Hunger Games guy to get it going.
I
You
like that
know,
idea. So
I
basically,
mean, he's
they're
probably a guns. He's probably
volunteers.
he's probably a gunslinger and a throw thinger. Like, he shows a gambit level of skill, just throwing stuff at stuff.
Yeah.
I-
And then so then we'll have to show that there's that people are chosen to do this. So early on, he can, people are gathered up or whatever. People bang on the jail cell doors and they swing open. Everybody goes to gather. He's just following because he doesn't know what's happening. And then people volunteer. And so maybe 4 people volunteer and they're put into the pit and everybody is forced to watch these guys fight this person.
I mean,
And
then
then
it's
they
just
meet up.
Gladiator. I almost wonder if it's like we can change this. It's different enough that why don't we just change it? It's like no one chooses. Like they
Oh,
capture 20 people at a time.
and they
That's
just,
this year's Hunger Games, and then they'll do it again
oh,
next year. Like,
Dude,
okay.
I'm even thinking though. Think
Okay.
about this. I'm not trying to throw monkey wrench too late in here, but think about it. Like, can we change it into anything we want? What if this Hunger Games is more or less just, as if you want to try to canonize it, it would be the last people to believe in this. You know what I mean? Like, the last people to believe in this, they have this giant uh property, for lack of a better word, that they've filled with these people that they've captured, that they subject to these laws, that they have enough henchmen to make it seem like a giant nation state is doing this. But really, it's just them. It's just them, and they believe this crazy sort of,
Mm.
like, almost plantation-y messed up crap. They believe this and they have enough power to enact it way over here. But when our heroes break out at the end and go anywhere else that way down the road, it's like different, and they've killed these bad guys. And like I said, I just love me some closure, because if you want to do a sequel where they go into town, everybody's not nice, like I'm seeing, like I'm thinking in my mind, like they get into town and people are like looking at their cut up feet and how messed up that they are, and the people are dressed way different, and they're like talking up a storm because this weird castration of your vocal cords and stuff, that's some weird way to hell out there shit. What are y'all doing? It's just
I mean, this
crazy.
could. I mean, like, look to yes, Angie. What if this is? Again, this is like I don't know if we can say it, but just for our own sake, just so we know, in Hunger Games, it's all these districts. What
Mm-hmm.
if this is District 6? And
Mm-hmm.
District 6 is like kind of like the deserty part and it's Old West. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, maybe the era of Katniss was like 100 years ago, like
Mm-hmm.
when Katniss ended all of this, and just this one, it's almost like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They
Mm-hmm.
just stumbled upon the wrong place
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
is doing this old Confederate shit,
Yep.
I
Yep.
love it.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then that way, when they escape, our main character escapes, they escape into something better, at least.
I
I mean,
almost
like,
think
it's
that's
a,
more interesting if
Yeah.
yeah.
if this whole time it's kind of like this deserty old district, and that could explain too why it looks Old West, is because all those districts were kind of malnourished and whatnot. But like he escapes on his horse and then gets on like that, that kind of monorail that Katniss takes from her district to the capital. Like that's when
Mm-hmm.
we're like, oh, this is
This is
the
the Hunger
world that I
Games.
know, and it's not the Old West type of thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
and
that
he
idea.
rides his horse up onto the monorail and just sort of has to duck to get to the doors. He just
Right. But
takes
I
them
think
on to
that's
the
where you
city.
can have like as he's riding away, it's like you can see the sign that's like Pan Am, welcome to District 6 or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You it's a Hunger Games movie, I guess, before you get in, but that's kind of what you're like, oh, I kind of get it now. Like this isn't like the Old West. This is Pan Am, and apparently, like this is Pan Am 100 years later.
And where they
I
couldn't
think
keep
that's really
everybody
interesting.
civilized. I think that's the interesting thing about this future apocalyptic crap is I believe that after a major apocalyptic event, we could rebuild society, but never all the way. There would
Yeah.
always be pockets in between the safe zones that would be the worst in the Wild Wild West ever thought about being. And I think in
Well,
those places, those fiefdoms, you can take control and be a bad person.
that's what's interesting. I think if you take Katniss's kind of revolution in mind, it's like, yeah, she won and there was change and there was difference, but there's always going to be
Mm-hmm.
neo-Nazis. There's always going to be, those fringe groups that can't let go of their hideous pasts and thinks
Tradition, baby.
Look,
It's all about
look.
tradition. Don't hate tradition, baby.
All they want to do is make Pan Am great again.
Yep.
Okay, so I think like the general story is there. I think it's just kind of missing a little bit of the, I think one of the great things about the Hunger Games was that Katniss kind of had this friendship with Peeta and Rue, the little girl that she kind of took under her wing. We're kind of missing a little bit of that human element, which I understandable because no one can talk to each other. But is there any sort of way?
I was trying to think about it. I bet it's been in my subconscious, and this is it. You go to the thing, you're inside the prison, and you get your neck castrated. I know that's not what it says, but I'm talking about it like taking away your agency and you're talking. So it's like you get your larynx taken away, and then there's like a big board for all of y'all to learn how to say rudimentary stuff to each other. There's like make this with your hand, it's a bird, then whatever. And that part of it is the human element is somebody's got to sit there with his dumb, not in prison ass and take his ass over to that board that they don't even use anymore because they've been there forever and teach him how to like say stuff so that he can work or whatever they do in the district. And then blah blah. Because like I said, we're gonna have to have some human connection. We got to do some Planet of the Cave Bear, this and that and the other type stuff, or this ain't gonna work. It can't not be it's no spoken dialogue, and it doesn't have one lick of it. Yeah. But there's got to be dialogue. So we're gonna do the quiet place thing, the quiet place thing, but it's gonna be harder. It's gonna be harder though because again, he's got to learn basic stuff at first to like even be he's gonna be like orange, and she's gonna be like, you know what I'm saying? That you get it's got to be some fun with them trying to learn how to talk.
Some lady looks at him and then goes,
yes, Ron.
That's all I want.
That one time for you. No? But you know what it'll mean? It'll mean castration. That's what that means in their society.
I guess what's really like creepy is like it makes sense now why they would rip their vocal cords out because should anyone ever escape, they still can't tell anyone what they're doing. Mm-hmm. That's unsettling to me,
dude. Yeah, and it adds an element of horror, but we're unlike the Eli Roths of the world. We leave it with a little bit of hope that when you get out of that horrific place, when you fight your way out with your he's almost like Cool Hand Luke. If you've ever seen that old motion picture, it's like Paul Newman is just like so defiant in jail that he tries to make jail his bitch.
What if at the end when he escapes, we see him writing a memoir? It all started with my daughter, and then like so that like he's in a way he's taking back his communication by telling the story of what just happened.
I mean, I would totally be okay with that. That doesn't strike me weird.
I almost wonder, like, I don't know, this might be too cheesy, but at the end, if he's able to win, but kind of like in the Hunger Games where it was like Peeta and Katniss both got out alive, like maybe him and whoever his partner or best friend or whoever that is, they've kind of been together and they get out. Maybe it's one of them kind of gives him the look like, where do we go? What do we do? And that's when he's just like, freedom, like trying to get one word out,
I mean, yeah, just for emotionality's sake, let's go with it. Like that's what I'm saying. Just give them a little something at the end, a promise of something, or maybe even they go to anywhere with modern medicine, and maybe they can repair this thing that's happened. If this is 2300 AD,
I'm not fucking showing that. I draw the line.
No, we don't. I say we don't.
I draw the line.
I'm not saying we would go. Oh, we gotta go have a Trapper John MD episode for 20 minutes at the end of our movie. Of course not. I'm just saying, like, it's not hopeless. It shouldn't be hopeless. I think that it's just a glimmer of hope at the end.
I just feel like you're the most cynical out of all of us, and you're always the one that refuses to have a
Bad
macabre
endings.
ending to
Yeah.
anything.
That's not all the way true. I just feel like those are like a lot of times super earned, and a lot of times the people in those movies have made a bunch of decisions to get themselves screwed up. You know what I'm saying? Scarface dies at the end, and nobody cares if you like that movie. Nobody cares because you know he did way enough to get himself killed. You know what I mean? So I think our characters don't really have that in this movie, so I don't want it to be that dour. Especially,
All
oh,
right.
I wandered into a prison,
That's
and then I
fair.
have a downer ending too. Jeez Louise. You know what I mean?
Fine. He can get out alive and maybe half whisper one word.
Yeah. Well, it won't be freedom. That's Braveheart's jam. But
Whatever
yeah,
the fuck.
whatever the
Well, you
word.
can't
Whatever the
say
word.
hope because that's Rogue One.
He's gonna say
so-
rosebud.
I think he's gonna say a symbol of hope, and it's just gonna be the Superman symbol, and then cut.
Yeah. So yeah, I think in the end, yeah, the character and the person who's I think should be a woman who taught him how to like speak and get along in this society if people couldn't talk, and then learned him the ropes. I think him and her should survive.
Sounds good.
So what happened to his wife if he's going to get medicine for
He
his
has a daughter, not a wife. There's no reason why he
Yeah.
has to have a wife. It's his maybe his daughter was sick and the wife is dead, and boom, he's the last hope. Oh, maybe that's the messed up thing. They're gonna have to go back through the prison to take the freaking medicine back where he came from, and that's kind of an interesting shot of him like going to human regular place and then grabbing up the medicine and having to go through this basically place that he defeated, that him and his regime have defeated, and they've taken the land back or whatever. They're doing their own thing. They're not enslaved or whatever anymore. You know what I mean? Maybe there's
And
people who chose
then-
to stay there.
Just to make Ed sad, when he gets to his house where his daughter's supposed to be, she's dead. And then
Of course.
no. And the whole thing has been for naught. He drops the medicine, you see it shatter, and then he
Directed
starts
by
crying with one tear, and
Directed
directed by David
by-
Lynch.
directed by total nihilism. Yeah. But yeah.
No, absolutely not. He saves his daughter, and it's beautiful. And
No, we never see it. We just
Yeah.
we have hope that he'll make it back.
yeah, we see
Yeah,
it in
we
his head.
we have hope they make it back because what he's gonna do, he's gonna be like, Daddy, talk to me about your adventure. And he's like, that's the ending the liberals want.
Oh man. Well, at this point, we're just kind of running out the clock. We have about
Yeah.
35 seconds, give or take. I would like to also second that, Ron. I just don't think you had the authority to pull a chaos card. I'm not sure why I acquiesced and did it.
That's
But
because
here we are.
you're game to try stuff, and I do think I think it's fair that I called a chaos card because I do think it would have been super easy to just tell a Western version of Hunger Games.
I
'Cause
gotta
Hunger
say,
Games
yeah.
is almost Western as it is because it's literally bow and arrows and shit. I mean, it's a sort of sci-fi future, but like absolutely.
I also think Ron may have saved us from like Native American districts and freed African
was
slave
not where my
districts and
mouth
stuff
was.
or whatever. I'm just saying if we're gonna do the old West,
It was.
I would say go for it. I'm just saying go for it. Use that terrain. We got spared all of that.
we are past out of time. Thank Christ. All right, so here we are.
You
a
won't have to recount
wordless-
any dialogue. So this should be
No, that's almost makes it harder. So guy he wanders into this ghost town kind of half dead from traveling. He tries to find just some water in the town to survive, but everything is completely deserted on this proper. Maybe he shows up, I think we changed it. He shows up on this like property, kind of like this kind of like a farm, like a compound almost. He shows up
Yeah, like a compound.
looking for any sort of sustenance, any sort of water. He is knocked out cold when he wakes up. He is in a cell. His vocal cords have been destroyed. His throat is kind of all stitched up. He looks around. He realizes that there's other people also in cells, also stitched up. Nobody can speak. They're all herded into a room where on one of those old timey projectors, kind of the rules of what's happening. This is the new Hunger Games. They will all fight to the death. One will survive. They have to learn very basic kind of sign language to even be able to communicate with each other. He befriends a woman in there, and they kind of form a partnership to try to survive this. We then get a flashback, and we realize that the whole reason he even came out this way was because he has a sick daughter, and he's just looking for any sort of medicine because his district was not did not fare so well after the whole Katniss revolution, however many years ago that was. Um, Typical thriller situation once the Hunger Games commence. It is by this, I guess we should point out this compound is owned by a sick, kind of rich group of people that refuse to give up the tradition of the Hunger Games, even though it has been outlawed for many, many years. And this is kind of their sick neo-Nazi way of carrying on this terrible tradition. And they take everyone's vocal cords out so that even should someone escape the off chance, there's still no way that they can tell anyone. In the Hunger Games, we get a lot of the tense moments where people are sneaking up on each other because no one can speak. But somehow our hero and his new girl, they win the Hunger Games. And when they are brought before the family, they have hidden weapons. They kill the family that is in charge, thus ending whatever this gross little cult of old Panem worshippers were. And as they are about to depart back to the man's daughter to try to get her some medicine, he's barely able to eke out a whisper of a word, which for now we will leave inaudible because we cannot decide what that word is. But something hopeful to make Ed Greer not so sad. The end.
Perfect.
Thank you. It's not too sad. Yes. I love it. We put people through a lot of stuff and then leave them having to still ride through the Badlands 180 miles probably to go deliver a couple of drops into this chick who may or may not be dead. Okay, that's enough ambiguity, enough nihilism. I love it. It's just the right amount.
Yeah.
There's some stuff in here that I think is reasonably interesting. I really like the idea of you think that this is like Hunger Games in a different time or place, but then slowly realizing like, oh, this is after all that stuff that I already saw happened.
Yeah,
And
that's a
this
great
is
idea.
like, yeah, this is like a weird Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You just accidentally ended up in the wrong place. I think that's a really cool slant.
Slash Civil War reenactment or Old Town Washington or what, you know what I'm saying, like Washington's Farm or whatever. All those old like creepy kind of relics, and they got real modern people going through the motions of a weird, pretty horrific past for people's amusement, taken to another extreme. Yeah, that's pretty
Civil
hardcore.
War reenactments are really weird, aren't they?
Honestly,
Like,
they really are.
I've never met someone that does it, but I feel like, and I mean, no offense to anyone watching this who's like super into them, but it's like, I really just want to talk to someone. It's like, why do you do this? Why do you dress up like a Confederate soldier and pretend shoot people and then pretend die on the grass and lay there for a really long time? That's really weird to me. I don't know.
Well, I don't know
Look, it's
about
to
like the
preserve
people.
history. All right, that's why I do it. Wait, what?
But dude, the people that are like the union too, it's like, wait a minute, you know your ass ain't no racial hero in our modern times, so you got to pretend to be one in the past. You know what I'm saying? That's an interesting psychology as well. So the whole enterprise gets it down from from me.
Look,
That
the
is
history's in books.
interesting. Like these weird Hunger Games reenactors. Yeah, I don't know.
I love
Very
it.
strange, very
Yeah.
interesting. Well,
Hey, and I
that
just want to
was-
congratulate you guys because you took my terrible chaos card choice and turned it into something great. Although I do have to criticize you because you are the person who put in no dialogue into the chaos card. So truly, this is your fault. I mean, really, when it comes down to it.
that was meant for something more fun, like Jaws or Jurassic Park. And you are on chaos card probation.
Okay.
Please
Fair.
check in
Fair.
with your parole officer before using said card.
he's got an ankle monitor.
Hey, and unless you guys want to be on probation, please click like and subscribe down below. Hey, I did a no, that wasn't good.
So bad.
Yep.
So
Okay.
bad. I should have had another beer before this episode. I blew it 2 episodes ago. All right. Well, this is probationary Ron Swallow. This is happy-go-lucky Ed Greer. I'm nihilistic.
Yeah,
I kind of want to cut my box out now and be done with it. We'll see you guys next week.